Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Simisola Adigun, filling in for DEJI360. Let's begin with security. The Defense Headquarters has confirmed the emergence of a new terrorist group known as Lukarawas in the mold of the Islamic sect Boko Haram, exacerbating its security in the northwestern part of Nigeria. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this in Abuja while briefing journalists on the operations of the military. According to Buba, the new terror group emerged from the Republic of Niger after the coup that led to the breakdown of military cooperation between Nigeria and Niger. He says the terrorists began incursion into northern parts of Sokoto and Kebbi states from the Niger Republic and Mali axis, particularly after the coup in Niger Republic, and were accommodated by the locals who mistook them for regular people. Take a listen to part of the briefing by Major General Edward Buba at the Defense Headquarters.
When those people came in, the citizens welcomed them. They did not report them. They thought they were saints. Until they now had a grip of them and started doing funny things with them. And then we started hearing. And we are now reactive. They came in just the same way we have something like Boko Haram. They're telling you the men should keep long beard. They're telling you the women must wear hijab and whatever. They're telling you the men must have jump up trouser. And so many other things like that. So we warn and we say, please, help us to help you. If you see strangers in your community, your locality, you don't understand them, let us know so that we know what to do. Winning this war without the support of the people is close to impossible. To end this terrorism, to defeat the terrorists both on the battlefield and wherever, and bring peace back to citizens of this country.
Now, Buba added that prior to the coup, there were joint border operations with Nigerian security forces, which kept the terrorists at bay. But of course, that is no longer the case, given the weak relationship between both countries at the moment. He added that the terror group had continued to take advantage of the vast under-governed areas to hide and evade troops, as well as harass the locals. Buba gave assurance that troops had sustained intelligence and surveillance to degrade the terrorists, saying troops are locating them and eliminating the threat. Well, joining me on the program to discuss this further are two security experts. Dennis Amakri, a former assistant director at the Department of State Services, DSS, joins us from Texas in the United States. Also joining from Kent in the United Kingdom is Temitope Olodo, a preventive terrorism consultant. Thank you very much, sirs, for joining me. Now, I mean, must have listened to the Director of Defense Media Operations, that's Major General Edward Buba, giving details of their findings on the new terrorist group, Lukarawas. And one detail that stands out is that this group emerged after the disruption of military cooperation between Nigeria and Niger Republic after the coup in that country. And that's despite the renewed security pact between both countries back in August this year. Now, what are your thoughts on this worrisome development? I'll start with you, Mr. Makri.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, of course, you hit it on the nail, on the head of the nail when you said that it's because of a breakdown of military cooperation between the two countries. And that was what we were talking about when, remember when Niger Republic and Burkina Faso and Mali broke away from the ECOWAS group. So it is one that when they do that, because they are our next door neighbor, it becomes very difficult for us to now continue the military cooperation like the joint task force, international joint task force which was really helpful in dealing with people like this. And of course, they have come in, and the Nigerians will not stop them. And these people are actually from the desert, the Tuareg. And they came in there and are being basically financed by the mining that is going on, is major attraction. And I think we will just discuss further.
How about for you, Mr. Olodo? What are your thoughts on this worrisome development?
I'll just say it's another deja vu, and I agree with my Ogadia. It's just, a vicious cycle that keeps happening and happening. The bottom line is why we agree that the broken relationship between our military and the two militaries might have more or less helped to expand the operation of this group. But I don't think we could say that that's the only reason why this group had continued to grow within that particular area. It is clear from information available in the public domain that the community actually invited these individuals to help them get rid of the bandit situation that they were confronted with, which means that government have failed in that perspective. Now they place tax on the people. We're talking of 5 local governments in Sokoto and a bit of Kebbi. Now these are areas I'm familiar with because I went to a military school in that area and also went to university in that area. So I'm familiar with it. The fact that we are unable to control our borders, the fact that regardless of whatever happens between ourselves and Niger, the challenge we have is that, with all due respect, some politicians have continued to flag the narrative that they are our brothers. Is only nomenclature that have changed. Nigerians are not Nigerians. Malians are not Nigerians. Even if they are Fulani Malians or Fulani Nigerians, they are not Nigerians. And we need to be very clear about who is a Nigerian, ensure that only Nigerians can come into our borders. And if you're not in Nigeria, just like Trump is saying, you need to come in legally into our country. But when we leave the boundary, the area open and say you can bring in your cattle, so you could just have your transaction without anybody stopping you. This is exactly what you see. Security agencies will do their best, but the community need to change the way they view things. And it's not when somebody comes and say, oh, well, the same faith, and you just allow them to just stay in your country because you are brothers or you have an ancestral link. The fact is, we are Nigerians, they are not Nigerians, and they should have no place in our country. They should not even be in our territory. That's full stop.
What said is that the group was accommodated by locals who initially thought that they meant well for them, adding that they failed to report the movement to the military and security agencies. Now, this repeated warning by security officials to always report cases like this seems to fall on deaf ears. Where lies the problem here? Because this is definitely a recurring issue. Mr. Lodo.
Yeah, it's a recurring issue. The same thing with Boko Haram, the same thing with ASWA. They come in initially to say, we're your friends, we're helping you get rid of the people that need to be gotten rid of. And then they bring in their strict Islamic doctrines, which the people would then frown against, and then they start killing them as if they are chickens and ram. Let's be clear. There are 5 local governments who have been getting government allocation. Where are the local government officials? Where is the local government in this space? Thank God at least the president has said now they should be giving them their money. But even regardless of that, they have local governments, they have all these things that are supposed to be operated. When people are giving out soft loans of 1 million naira to be able to attract the youth into them, that's a form of radicalization. They're attracting those people. But we've seen that happen with Boko Haram. We've seen that happen with ASWA. Are we not learning lessons? That's the issue here. We are not learning lessons and we're falling into the same trap. And if we allow this group to grow and fester within the society, then it will be difficult to extract them from the society. Very simple. So we need not to go in with just the military might alone, because we know what the military or security services might could do. It could turn the people against them, because in the process of trying to gather intelligence, you are picking people up, you are asking them questions, you are being harsh or hostile with them, then they will tend to, gravitate towards the group that says that, we're of the same faith, we love you, and things like that. So we need to be very careful. We need to start bringing in experts into that particular area that will look at it not just from a military perspective, but to bring in the non-connective approach into addressing this issue, and addressing it very, very, very quickly. If people have collected money and they need to give that money back, we need to help them. We need to call on people that have money that can help that community to take loan into that community and give the people money if need be, to help them with money, because this is exactly the same trap that we're getting into again and again, the same vicious cycle that we are repeating again and again.
Let me come to you, Mr. Makri. Now, Nigeria's northern states have become a safe haven of increasingly active terrorist groups. Boko Haram is still a security threat as we speak. In your opinion, what factors are responsible for this?
Okay, thank you very much. The factors are many. Actually. Now, number one, like the said, is the porous border. The border is so porous that these people have free movement of arms and people. So it is very, very important that we look at that. Then, of course, there are fundamental causes. The root causes, which are the poverty, and then, of course, unemployment, and stuff like that. So, are we going to address the root causes? That's one. And then, of course, if we are going to deal with it militarily, yes, we can do it like the carrot and stick approach. One important thing is, of course, sending a lot of intelligence officers, because these people are coming in as religious people, and then, of course, they are being indirectly financed with the mining of gold and other minerals in that area. So they are rich. They are spreading money around the place. So instead of going around and arresting people, I think, of course, the security agencies know what to do, and I think they're on top of it, where they will have to flood the area with intelligence undercover agents. And then, of course, get through to the root cause, and then, of course, identify all their leaders, and then, of course, plug them out.
Now, this new group, Lukarawas, is set to be in the mold of Boko Haram, which remains one of the most dangerous extremist groups in these parts. Do you think Nigeria's security architecture is strong enough to address this new threat, considering the complexity of the nation's security challenge at the moment, Mr. Makri?
Yes, they are. We've been fighting Boko Haram for many, many years, and we've not succeeded. But I think there is a new sheriff in town for the DSS, and then, of course, the military hierarchy is also very much dedicated. And, of course, recently we've been seeing some kind of synergy that is working between the security agencies. And then, of course, that kind of fusion will help us approach this particular problem in a different way, because we cannot continue fighting it the other way with troops going in there, and then, of course, they're ambushing them and killing them. But this time, I think if they plan very well, which I believe that they will do, they are going to now, instead of overtly fighting them, fight them from the bottom, which is undercover. And more of that. I think we need to see more of that, and that should be able to solve this problem for us. So our security infrastructure is well equipped to do that, and I think they should start, deploying them.
No doubt, this new terrorist group has created new fears for Nigerians. At this point, what policy solutions do you recommend to tackle this challenge, especially, starting from the northern states? You mentioned addressing our porous borders. What other recommendations do you recommend?
I think the first thing is to educate our people, educate, because the challenge is if people are not educated, then people will fall into, the same routine of accepting people, just for the sake of who they are and what they say they are coming to do. And when I'm talking about education, I'm not talking about Western education. I'm talking about community education. Educate our people, go in there with the appropriate resources to help the people. Thank God we're only talking of 5 communities and we're only talking of 2 states, so we can overwhelm them. And just like Mr. Mokri mentioned clearly, we have the military might to do it, and we've learned from Israel and what is happening in Lebanon that you don't actually need to wait for the warplane that will be approved by Donald Trump. You could use your drones, you could use little things. We've seen what Israel have done, how they've been able to effectively deal with a terrorist group that is even more advanced than the one that we're talking about. They're just growing up. They're little kids on the block, but we could deal with them and we could clearly control our border and say, this border, we're going to shut this border. We could carry out a military operation and say the border is going to be shut now. Nobody's going to come. And that's the reason why I was one of the people that was against the train that was going to go through Nigeria through Nigeria into Nigeria. I'm not happy with that. I don't see why we should be having trains going through. I'm happy that nobody's talking about that at the moment, because we're going to be spending the money. We're going to be paying back the loan to the Chinese. And we want to create what? To carry terrorists and bring into our country. We need to stop this. We need to start taking this seriously. Let's take care of our people. We only have 5 or 6 local government affected. Let's storm that area. Let's get rid of the people that need to be gotten rid of. If we have minds, just like Mr. Omekri mentioned, let's diversify it, not just for the rich, by the rich for the rich. Let's create licenses, little licenses for Nigerians that we can verify with their BVN and their bank statement, and from the local emirs and leaders of the villages to say these people are actually Nigerians, and then give them license to be able to work in those fields. Let them work there and then tax them little. They have security services there. That's the way to do it. But you can't just say you cordon everything off for the rich people, and these people can't get jobs. They have to go and borrow, get money and loan from all these terrorists. Then what do you expect? So we need to educate our people, come up with a policy to radically deconstruct the individuals in that area. But more importantly, and I've never seen this being done in Nigeria, and I think it's important, we need to develop a strategy to stop recruitment of our young people. What policy can we put in place to ensure that our young people are not recruited by these people? So we must have a strategy to ensure that our people will depopulate the terrorists. Because as you kill 1, 5, 6 more, they're able to recruit freely, because we're not putting economic and social incentives in place to help our people. But if we actually go out with an intention to ensure that we depopulate the terrorist group, then we will definitely win this war against terror.
Of winning the war on terrorism, are you convinced that Nigeria is actually winning this war against the security threat, like the president pointed out back on October 1 in his Independence Day speech? It was one of the things he said, that Nigeria is already winning the war against terrorism. Are you convinced on this, Mr. Amakri?
Yes, we have been worried about this war. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been fighting this thing for decades, and of course, sometimes you see when fresh people are appointed into the military, they go in there and successes do occur. But right now, I think if you even check the pulse of the country right now, there is a lesser wins for the terrorists at this time. We are not hearing of Boko Haram the way we used to hear about it now. And then, of course, the bandits have been, I think the military has taken the war to them. And, of course, they are decimating them. But what we, as ordinary Nigerian citizens, would want to see is a concerted effort where we make this thing so much that the terrorists themselves run. Let us keep them on the run instead of allowing them to be scattering, gathering back together, ambushing our military, and then, of course, hit and run kind of thing. But for now, even a lot of their leaders have been, decimated. So I think we are on the positive side, although we've not got the 100% on what we want to do.
Mr. Olodo, I'll let you have the last word. Do you think Nigeria is winning this war against terrorism?
Let me use the politicians' phrase, technically defeating the terrorist group. Of course, we are doing some work because we can't take it away from the military and the security services that they are not doing what they need to do. But if we look across the globe and benchmark what we're doing across the globe, which is who we are, we're a global village, we will say, hey, has Nigeria done enough like the Israelis have done with Hezbollah or done with Hamas? Of course, there is a debate there on whether you need to destroy everything in order to be able to say you are winning. But Nigeria need to now start learning lessons from the technological advancement that are out there, to know that it's not the big planes that could do the work alone, but actually having the intelligence on ground and making sure that your people have the resilience to be able to resist this group. Because the purpose of getting rid of Boko Haram, Ishwab, and then another Lukarawas comes up, or another Temelodo comes up, because you've not put the necessary measures in place to take care of your people. Nigeria call obey. Let's be our brother's keeper. Let's make sure that they have food on the table. Let's make sure that the 100+ Nigerians that are in extreme poverty are reduced dramatically, because that 100 million is the population, is more than the population of the United Kingdom that are in extreme poverty in Nigeria. So having terrorists around, it seems to be a normal equation of that. So we need to avoid that and make sure we take care of our citizens. It's not about riding in 7, 8 cars. We need to make sure that ordinary Nigerians can go to sleep, with their 2 eyes closed, and Nigerians can at least eat and be fed and feel that they're in a country that loves them and cherishes them.
Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for being on the program. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this. I will take a break. The program will return shortly. Do stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.